And there it is. We are live. It is Tipsy Tuesday. Okay, and actually, let me do it officially. So, first and foremost, welcome to Tipsy Tuesday. You gotta do it with me though, Alycia. Come
Oh,
on.
okay, my bad. Okay. We starting on this
Ready?
side.
Okay, sure.
All right, we go.
Tipsy Tuesday.
Cute.
And I am so thrilled to be joined by you. Before I jump into who you are and what this is all about, today's conversation, I always start with this friendly reminder. One, a reminder for those who follow along, and two, an introduction for those who may be new. This is Tipsy Tuesday, but it is not that kind of tipsy. Okay. Now, if you want to have a drink and you want to partake in something, that is totally up to you. But this Tipsy Tuesday is all about practical tips for leaders, tips for life that we can take away and apply to our everyday practices as we continue to figure out how we level up here in this world. So I can't think of a better guest to join me than Miss Alycia Levels Moore. Before I have you introduce yourself, let me just kind of run down for everyone who you are.
Okay.
I say, okay, first of all, I said that this is going to be a conversation for me because I need all the things that you're about to tell us.
Okay.
And I say, you are our first. You are our first Southern Belle on Tipsy Tuesday Live. And beyond that, you are what I'm calling right now the first mega mom. Now, we've had some moms.
Mega Mom is insane.
You are a mega mom, honey. Okay. You are a mega mom and a mogul in the making. Businesswoman, entrepreneur, community leader, mother, wife. I'm sure I'm leaving some things out, but I cannot wait to just really have a conversation around the structures, the systems, and just the way you go about doing it all. So, what did I leave out about you that we
you
should know?
know, you know, most importantly, I'm a child of God. Huh? He loves me. Yeah, he loves me. That's really how it all works for real. But no, that was great. That was good.
That was
That was good.
great. That was
That was
great.
good.
Okay.
That was good.
So let's say this. For those who are tuning in, trickling in late, those who may not have the entirety to stay with us,
Hmm.
if they were to go back and watch or they follow along for the next hour, what is at least one thing that you hope people walk away from today's conversation and are able to apply?
Absolutely. I think the one thing, and I think this will also embody a lot of the conversation we have today, which is this is your life and you get to write the rules, you get to write the story. So, whatever was on that page before, go on, rip it on out, go on, scratch it out. And you get to start over and you get to choose how your life looks, right? Like you happen to life, you don't let it happen to you. And I think that's the key. So, just ensuring and reminding yourself that you get to write the story, and it can look however you want it to look, and as long as you're willing to push through, right, and remind yourself that you can do hard things.
I love that. You get to write your story. And so today, I want to really go deep into how you have been able to create this story. And I think once people hear what this story is, they're going to be like, what? People are always saying to me, Eris, how do you do it all? And I'm like, do I do it all? I don't know if I'm doing it all,
Yeah.
whatever the all is. We go, what is it all?
Mm-hmm,
And then I
mm-hmm.
meet people like you who make me feel like I'm doing nothing. Because it's
No,
just me.
stop the madness.
It's just me.
Stop it.
It's just me. But to that, right, with writing your own story and trying to juggle and do it all, I think a lot of us feel that we just go, 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 go. But in order for that to actually be sustainable, and I think in order for that to have a real impact, something that has come up as I've had conversations with you is that it really also comes down to not just like that intentionality and the drive, but having structure, having a
Mm-hmm,
system, having a
mm-hmm.
village, and having boundaries. And so that's the conversation that I hope that we can weave.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
let's do it.
So we've already talked about you being a mega mom, a wife, entrepreneur, community leader. shape it out. Like, share with us a little bit more. Why am I calling you a mega mom? What does it mean to be a community leader from your perspective? Like, who are you really?
Yeah, so I'll kind of start in like the last like 13 years. So I was born in upstate New York. I was raised in East Atlanta. I went to school at Tuskegee University, and my freshman year, I met my husband. He's from Birmingham. And so, before that, I was in Atlanta doing music. I had toured out of the country, did albums. And so, once we got married, he was like, "Hey, I think we should move to Birmingham." Mind you, I live in Atlanta. And I was like, "No, I'm straight." And at the time, he was really knee deep in community service. He's a public servant. And so he was like, "Hey, I think that we should really, take roots here." And it was a community that was on the cusp of a lot of economic vitality and vibrancy, and people were interested in investing in that community, but it still was very much growing. And
Mhm.
so when I got here, someone tapped me and asked me to support building out pipelines for equitable entrepreneurship. It's simply what that means is we are excited about a coffee shop. We love a yoga and Pilates studio. But what about Miss Brenda who's baking cupcakes in her house, right? How can she now participate in the new economic vitality and excitement around her community? How can she make sure she walks out the door and she can live, work, and play as well? And so that's where a lot of the ideas and the understanding and the exposure to community and economic development begin to take place, because I was like, well, why does one community look different than the other? And why does, one school system, and why do businesses have this? And so really just started to learn the lexicon of what it means to develop a community and develop economies and help business owners. But I've always been entrepreneurial. I am right in the middle. So I'm the fourth child of seven. And so I've always kind of been right in the middle. So I knew what not to do, because I seen my older siblings get dealt with. And then,
Right.
my younger siblings, I could always give them a little guidance. But I was like, I'm not somebody who has to like learn from experience. I'm like, nah, you just got popped in the mouth. Heard. Like, I know exactly what not to do. Right. And so
That's
I've
right.
always been like a really observant person. And, childhood and all those things had its ups and downs. But I will say the thing that I know that I took out of it the most is a level of resilience. And so I made this like inner vow with myself, for good or bad, when I was like maybe about 12 years old. And I was like, hey, whatever I want to do in life is going to be up to me. I'm like 12 in middle school, like writing in my diary, like, Alycia, whatever you want in life is going to be up to you. And so I just kind of took that with me, and just started to figure this thing on out, and just was willing to say yes to like scary things and risky things. But I realized that if I didn't, then I couldn't blame anybody but myself. And I saw a line of beautiful, amazing, brilliant women at times give up so much of themselves for marriage, for children. And they were beautiful. We appreciate the wisdom and guidance. But as they got older, they really weren't that happy, right? They were living vicariously through their children, or there were just so many dreams and aspirations they never had the opportunity to touch. And so I just decided that I wanted it to look different for me.
I want to unpack that a little bit because I feel like a lot of what I try to express or push or, expose and share with people is not being afraid to just walk their path. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
many people look up and have tried to make our lives meet the expectations and standards of other people in society. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
then you go, okay, how did I get here? What am I doing? And now
Mm-hmm.
you're midway through your life
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
stuck and kind of almost becoming like a little robot, right? Like not even just being free to be yourself. At 12 years old, you had this, and some people are like, yeah, that sounds good, but that's not me. How do I get there? I mean, so do you think that this is something that comes like innate? Or do you think that there are some skills and practices that people can build and apply?
I say skills and practices, but I also say decisions, right? So it's not innate. Like, we all have to I wasn't always the best public speaker, but what helped me is because I was in music early on. My mom, she would make me. I went outside all the time. I was in the room with her. I was practicing looking her in the eyes. I was practicing singing and stage presence. That didn't come naturally. The gift came naturally to me, but the
Mm,
expertise was not natural. It was something that had to be cultivated over time, right? And so a lot of times when you hear somebody's journey or story at one point, the first thing we always gonna do is defend ourselves, right? So we're gonna be like, well, that's not possible for me because you had X, Y, and Z. But no matter where you are on your journey, if you make a decision, you can choose what it looks like next, right? So, like most things are not innate. Most people don't come out as confident leaders, right? That comes over making bad decisions. That comes after hiring the wrong people. That comes after losing some money. You start to do that. I remember early on when I was more deeply involved in music, still involved. But I remember I had someone supporting me in my music career. And I was so afraid of making decisions because I didn't want to make the wrong ones. But then
mhm,
life had beat me up enough to know, well, listen, sis, either you're going to be afraid to make the decisions or you're going to get your tail toe up out here because you're afraid to make the wrong decisions. Guess what? Let's test it, right? Because it's just scientific. It's like it's that theory, that testing, right? So I tested. I said, okay, Alycia, try it. And if you mess up, at least it's your mess up. At least it's
at least
your
it's
decision.
your mess up.
And it's yours. Because the one thing you don't ever want to do in life is be pointing fingers at people. Because no matter how many fingers you point, it's still your life. And so it's just like how you have to take full ownership of it. And that comes through practice and decision. So
Mhm.
for example, I remember one point I was like really bad with time. I'm still not the best, but I'm pretty good. And pretty solid, But I remember coming in, and the first thing I would say is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was late, traffic." And then at one moment, I felt like the Lord was like, "That's not true. Just say you didn't prioritize getting up early enough. Just say, you know what, y'all, I was late because I decided to take my time and sit down and drink that cup of tea. I
That's right.
apologize." It's about taking ownership of your life. Like, stop making excuses. I didn't do it because I didn't want to. I didn't do it because I didn't have time. And the more honest you begin to be, the more honesty can show up in your life about the decisions that you make. Okay, Alycia, are you going to do this because you can't, or are you not going to do this because you're afraid? Like, let's just be honest, right?
Okay,
And
wait.
so you have,
Pause. Pause. Hold, it's so much. Okay.
she's like,
Oh
girl,
my
stop the
God.
princess. Okay.
Because I am feeling a whole word. I promise I did not give her these talking points to to plug and play because the things that I hammer down on, particularly in the last I would say 6 months, really, really leaning into is decision making. And you talk like it at the end of the day, everything comes down to our decisions. And I think in life we try to overcomplicate or we try to map out, oh, I did this, and because I did this, or I went to this school, or I got this degree, that's why I'm now X, or I did this fellow. I mean, yeah, those things help, but at the end of the day, you made a decision to do things that created outcomes, either good, bad, indifferent, right? And so it's like how to work with people to make better decisions so that they can have
Mm-hmm.
better outcomes. And the other thing I'm really leaning into is the accountability piece. You said ownership. And I've like so often, particularly for those of us who are in certain roles or at certain levels in life, people don't want to hold us accountable. Right? They think that we're the only ones that are expected to hold people accountable, and they may not want to call us out on something for various different reasons. And so
Mm-hmm.
I love that piece around even being accountable for yourself and to yourself and owning what you do, and then just really thinking through these decisions. And I'm going to circle back to something we talked about with regards to like clarity and success and
Mm-hmm.
how you define it, which I think ties into how you decide to make a decision about what you're
Mm-hmm.
going to do and how you're going to
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the other piece is time. So my daughter, when she was growing up, she was not allowed to say the word bored. Like if you said I'm bored, it was a bad word. It was like, what? I go find something to do. I don't want to hear about you being bored.
Yep.
And last year I said I was giving up the words hustle and grind.
Yep.
Like I can't say those words. And I don't want to say I'm tired. Like everybody, how you doing? Tired, tired. Now sometimes you're tired.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm. Very true.
right. So lately, this is my new thing as of like 2 weeks ago. I said, I am no longer going to tell people I didn't have the time. Let's cut back to it. Because we all have the same amount of time in the day we all got 24 hours. Really, it's about how did I decide to prioritize my time? So just recently, I owed somebody some information. They're trying to do some financial plan for me. And they were asking me, they're like, where are your documents? Like, I've been waiting on your statements. And I almost was like, I'm sorry, I just haven't had time. And I stopped and I said, you know what? Actually, I apologize. I have not prioritized this against all the other things that I have on my plate. It's still important to me, but it's not a priority at the moment. So I think even having those kind of like shifts and the way you communicate with people in that way, it just changes the paradigm. It's like, it's not that you didn't have time. You didn't prioritize. You didn't make the decision to prioritize it. Now take accountability for that. Yeah. And so, and there we go. Right. And so we have not dropped it yet. Like, people don't understand. Talk about how many babies you got. Talk about this husband.
Tell me how many kids you got.
Like, and
Y'all see how she pointed her finger at me like that?
You was the first woman. You was the first wife. You got babies under 6. I don't know.
So,
and you're building all of these businesses and nonprofits, and not just doing, but like really doing it. Right.
Yeah. So I have 4 children. I have 3 girls, 1 boy. They are 7, 6, 4, and 2.
Crazy.
And
you really don't have time though. Like,
no, it's like you don't, so it's like, so a lot of times I have certain days for certain things. And so you kind of have to create like a system. And I'm just honest with people too. I always tell people like, hey, these are things I'm doing. I have to go get my kids. This is where, like I get real clear. So people, that helps them also with their boundaries and expectations of me. Right. So, but I have 4 babies. I get the privilege and honor to be a mom. It's a lot. I mean, I really planned for one of them, and the rest of them kind of got here, but I love them all deeply and dearly. And yes, I have four little kids. The oldest is only in 2nd grade, and everybody else we running through, and so yeah. But it's and I'm married. We've been together almost about 20 years, but we've been married. It'll be 13 years. What is this? July 20? August 17th. I ain't forget. And so yeah, so I have a family. We have a few businesses. So we have an innovation space called Polaris Birmingham. So in Birmingham, and so it's in the Woodlawn community. We provide office space, event space, podcast studio, business support services. We just built out a food retail side as well, to help food-based entrepreneurs. So that's our space. And then also we have Vanguard Development Collective, which is the economic development organizational side. So Polaris is the space, but the work that we do, we needed to be able to expand our programming, to be able to really go across the region, and to be able to go into different industries, like our high growth industries. So we have our EDO, our Economic Development Organization, which is Vanguard. And then also we help other organizations like navigate their initiatives through our consulting firm as well. And so that's kind of the 3 verticals, but it's like its own ecosystem, right? So it's all community, economic development, education, programming, and really just help workforce and helping our state and our economy. Because I mean, my baby's from here, so it means something to me. You know what I mean? And so it needs to be a place that's thriving. It needs to be things that they can connect to. And my personal philosophy, my husband and I actually, like, we say something needs to be better once we've left it, right? Like if we were a part of something, like we need to leave it better than we found it. And so if I come into a community, a space, a road, like I need to be able to leave some fingerprints on there so it can be better than what I found it, And so that's kind of how we approach like moving to Birmingham, or myself moving to Birmingham and having all these kids in this place.
Having all these kids and birthing all these businesses, and all these clients. And I mean, when one of the words, another word that used to trickle around was balance. People like, how do you find balance? And I actually kind of debunked that word too. I don't strive for balance. I strive for harmony, because I think balance is not really possible, or you're going to always at some point. So what does that look like for you? Like, again, I'm going, how are you balancing all the babies, the relationship. I mean, 13 years is nothing to sneeze at, over 20 years together. So clearly, y'all got some great connection that continues, and
Mm-hmm.
businesses that are thriving and doing this economic development. Like, how do you go through that process to say where you're putting time and energy?
Yeah, so I'll go back a little bit to the balance, which is really interesting because there's something I have in mind in the future. I'm always dreaming up a next thing, but I agree because balance is to say that everything at the same time is getting its equal
Right.
weight, right? And that's untrue. And my philosophy is be happy because there is no balance. So you need to find your peace, your joy, your gratitude, your perspective. Baby, this is my world. So what we gonna do with it? You know what I'm saying? Pull it over here, pull it over there. Like you know, you there. It's not gonna ever be like that, right? And so
Yeah.
I think a few things that we've had an opportunity to talk about before is I have an amazing village. I have a great mother-in-law. My grandchildren, my children have great grandparents. We have great aunts. I have mentees that I've known since they were in middle school who are now in their 20s. They'll pull up on me at my house. They'll come to Polaris. I have a team. Every organization and business I talked about, I don't want a cape. My back hurt from all them epidurals. I don't
I
run
said,
these things by
I'm
myself.
not. Don't call me strong, black one. I don't want
Yeah,
it. I
don't
don't
give
want
me
the
don't
cake.
give me
I
nothing,
don't
man. You know what I'm saying?
know.
I'm actually trying to be, sitting down somewhere. But everything that I made mention of, there's a team, there's a group of people that are helping me. Those people also are very aware that I have children. Last week, I had to have two of my kids in the office with me. And, some of my team members, they was back there teaching the kids how to make coffee. I don't know why they was doing that. But, like, they got them printing color sheets. Like, the people around me know the things that I have going on. And then I have an amazing husband. He's a great partner. He's someone who champions my dreams and ideas. He knows, like, hey, I'm gonna get the kids. I'm gonna do this. Even in the work that he was doing, he was like, listen, the kids at a press conference with him, he holding the baby. Very good
Right.
because I'm doing something. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's a partnership, right? And I don't have a problem asking for help or saying like, hey, I need somebody to help me. Somebody come get the baby. Somebody come watch this baby. And the balance comes from realizing, I said balance, even that's not our thing. But the approach comes from knowing that I'm a whole woman. I'm not just these kids' mama.
That's right.
I'm not just this
Right.
man's wife, okay? You know what I mean? I'm Alycia. I'm a baddie. I've
Yeah.
been here for a while. And so it's like I'm a whole person. So it's important for me to nurture the whole part of myself. So it's like I have amazing friendships. I have friendships that I've my friends over 20 years, right? And I didn't drop nobody off because I had a kid. I didn't drop anybody off because I had a husband. I didn't drop anybody off because I moved to another state or a city or what have you. I'm a whole person. And so I need to make space. And I made a conscious decision to nurture the wholeness of myself. And it's important for me to have good friendships because I only always want to talk to these kids and this man.
Right.
Okay. You know what I mean? It's important for me to have a good relationship with my partner because my husband, because we're partnering in life, right? And I really love him and he really likes me and we have a good time. It's important when I'm at home to be present with my kids. So certain times of the night, I'm not answering my phone. What do you need to talk to me about? You know I'm at home. I'm not talking to you, right? And so like and also people, my kids not at home with me all day. They go to school. You go to school, go to school, right?
So,
And my kids know that that's their job. They like, okay, this your job. Did you clock in today? Because
right.
your job is to go to school. You know what I mean? Like everybody has a role, everybody has a part to play, everybody understands what we're building and growing. And it's important to have people around you who understand that. But even outside of having people around you to understand that, you have to understand that, right? You have
Yeah.
to show up and value who you are and what you do. I was talking to a beautiful mother this weekend and we were talking about motherhood. And I don't think it was as I didn't realize it was as prevalent. Just that might sound a little ignorant, but the weight of motherhood on people and how it takes up so much of yourself. And I told her, I said, girl, getting up every day, huh? Putting this little head down, drawing the eyebrows on, put some clothes, that's my love letter to myself. That's a
Mm-mm.
because what about me? What about me? I'm gonna show up looking good. Everywhere my kids help me pick my clothes out, they help me choose my weeds, they do all type of stuff. And they know when I get my nails done, they go with me to get my lashes done. They see me taking care of myself because I got daughters too, right?
Yeah.
So how do I tell my daughters you can do and be anything you want to do? But they haven't seen me do that in life. And I don't want them to just respect me because I'm their mother as they get older. I want them to put me in the lineup of women that they admire and that they strive to become like,
I love
right?
that.
But I have to give them something to strive to,
That's
right?
right.
And so yeah.
Oh. Goodness gracious. Some days I'm like, I don't feel like getting myself together. And I heard someone,
And some
I
days you don't.
listen, I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to put the wig on. I don't want to do it. But I heard someone else recently reference how, you know, making those efforts and just kind of jazz yourself up a little bit, right? Taking care of yourself is as much about self-care and self-love and respect as having a day at the spa or going to get, So even as I'm trying to always pull myself together, it's like, Eris, this is how you get the show at. Try to psych myself out, but absolutely. I love that. I think legacy is certainly important. And even as I'm listening to the way you approach that in terms of you're a whole person and not getting lost in this, I'll just use in this instance, in motherhood or in being a wife. But that same kind of philosophy applies to careers, right? Not getting lost in your career, your job, your profession to the point that it impacts your ability to find love, or it impacts your ability to maybe one day want to be a mother, or impacts your ability to do other things. And so I can really appreciate that, going hard and leaning in, but not getting lost and absorbed and just kind of stuck within that space. So thank you for sharing that. What would you say to someone who's like, well, I want to have it all too? If you're having it all, do you have
You
it
know,
all? I feel like
I,
you got it all,
you know,
but it
praise the Lord.
depends.
I would say this: having it all depends on what your version of having it all is, right?
Right.
Like, because to be all the way 100, when I first, I think I just graduated college, I was like, hey, I don't need to get married or have kids, okay?
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be rich auntie status. I want to show up in my chinchilla, pass out them gifts, and be like, oh, me and my boyfriend are about to hop on this yacht. Merry Christmas. Like, I was like,
A
but
little bit.
over time, you also have to ask yourself why. Like, it's important to question yourself, right, on why you want to make certain decisions. And for me, that was rooted in fear.
Mm,
I was afraid that if I chose, because that was a narrative that had been told to me. Those were the examples I saw, that if you choose marriage, if you choose children, you can't choose yourself. Like, you can't, those things can't coexist. When I was in music, someone told me, like, you can't get married. I was like, why? It was like, because you need to be in the studio. I was like, well, that's dumb. You know what I mean? But you have to determine what success looks like for you. And then guess what, y'all? It's okay to change your mind, because you can want something in one season of
yes.
life and things change, and you say, you know what, I don't think I kind of want that. And that goes the same with your career. I was driving, because I had the privilege of being a bridesmaid in a wedding this weekend. So beautiful. And I was driving, and I was just talking to the Lord. I was like, Lord, I just kind of want to do this. I want to do that. And I still have all these, these plans that I have, they're big. Right. And I'm like, I don't know where they're going to fit, but they're going to go somewhere. You have the right to change your mind. You have the right to write your story however you want to. If you are a lawyer today and you say, you know what, I really want to be an interior designer, who's going to stop you? Right?
That's
you
right.
you can be and do, but you have to believe and know in myself that I'm willing and capable of doing hard things. Sometimes it may feel risky, but on the other side of what we desire, on the other side is, fear. It's like, once you get past that fear, the way I kind of rationalize it, it's not gonna kill you for real. Like, you're not gonna die. Literally,
Yeah.
you're not gonna die. You're not gonna
I
die.
think a lot of people are having to really think about that in a different way these days, because right, we have the job market is doing what it's doing, and I don't care what the numbers say, we got a lot of people, particularly women, black women, who are being highly impacted. We have a lot more, I think, of our peers who are now pursuing, and I was about this, like, what, entrepreneurship, because maybe they can't get a job or they're over the workforce, and so they think jumping into entrepreneurship is the next natural. And then you have social media, where how do you promote your, like, that's how you
Yeah.
promote yourself, not just from like an egotistical standpoint, but from a professional standpoint, from a business standpoint. And there's a lot of fear with all of that, right? And like, how do you put yourself out there and make it so that everyone knows who you are and what you're about without being concerned about what they're thinking?
Yeah, so there are so many different things that kind of came to mind. I'm gonna start backwards. So one, you don't need to really worry about how many people can find you, because the reality is in business, if you have a solid 3 to 10 people, depending on your pricing, you don't need everybody. You need a few
I love
people who
that.
trust you, a few
I
people who
say that.
trust you and who will put your name in rooms where you're not even there, right? And so that's kind of that part. But also, and I hate to sometimes when I share, I really don't want to make it seem like minimizing what people are experiencing. But all I can share is my perspective, right? So for me, I said this a long time ago. People can take it how they want it. But I think sometimes one of my greatest strengths is ignorance, in the fact that I don't know what's going on out there because I'm not paying attention
Your
to that.
girlfriend is
Because
on
that
here telling me, Eris, you cannot be ignorant, like living in ignorance and bliss all the
Oh
time.
no. It's in a certain it's ignorance in the sense of I don't pay
Yeah,
attention to things that try to fear monger me.
that's
So I
right.
don't know what's going on in the job market, because the reality is my best partner, my best business partner is the Lord. We're
Mm,
talking all the time. I'm praying all the time. He's giving me ideas all the time. He's telling me who to talk to. He's telling me what rooms to go into. So when you kind of put it on yourself, if you think about yourself in the current
mm.
state and you think about this world, you're cooked, right? So
Nice.
you have got to
Give
get
it up.
outside. You got to get outside of what everybody else got. I don't know what's going on out here. I pray for people, right? But I'm like, Lord, every year since COVID, I've been going up. I ain't came down. And I don't plan on it. You know what I
I
mean?
know that's
Because
right.
when I'm in the Lord, everything continues to increase. I don't ever decrease, right? And so I think what you have to do, I can't say what I think what people have to do. What I do is I am in tune. I am a faith-based person, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't go into any decision alone. Even the things that have happened up until this point, they have been God led. They've been God inspired. Even me and you. You know what I'm saying? Like how we met. It's like I am like, okay, this your story. This your car.
Yeah.
Okay, go right. If the Lord tells me to talk to somebody, I'm gonna talk to him. I had idea during COVID to have a co-working space. I didn't even really know what that was. So the first thing I did was I rode around and I started looking at the signs on the building. And the Lord put somebody in my life who had just opened up a co-working space in California. And they just happened to be in Birmingham. And they was like,
Mm.
oh, I'll tell you everything I know. They opened up their books. I mean, they showed me the
Oh,
numbers. They showed me all their numbers. This is the price. This is how you do it per square foot. I had no clue. And then they said, hey, shout out to Matt. They was like, hey, I will actually fly down to Birmingham on my dime to do a walkthrough with you because I believe in you that much. When
oh,
you are in purpose and you are not so consumed and distracted by everything, you are a more clear vessel to be able to flow. But if we looking at the news and black women, we big baby, they been trying us.
yes,
This
they
ain't
have.
this ain't nothing new, right? But if I sometimes I get off social media because I feel
Yeah.
bothered, right? I don't tune into the news. I don't care what that man up there doing.
Mm.
All I need to know is what you're doing so I can find my way into it. Because we always know how to find success. We
Yeah.
always know how to find our way. The food that we eat right now is because we took the scraps and we made something phenomenal. They charge us
Mm.
$70 for oxtails. And folks didn't want to eat oxtails, right? You know what I mean? You can't go get,
70. Can we say that again? $70 for oxtail. That is
you know what I'm saying?
actual and factual.
That's actual and factual. Nobody wanted to eat a shrimp in a grit. You mean you want me to take the little bit of cornmeal left and the crustaceans at the bottom of the ocean and put it together? Baby, sign me up for that $45 plate of shrimp and grits. The point is, we know how to take nothing and make
Mm.
something. So if you focus on what people are telling you was possible for you, you're gonna lose every single time. I don't
Yeah.
need everybody to know me. I need the people who know me, and but give me about 4 or 5 people. That's
Yes.
it. And let me prove myself and to them that I know what I'm doing. Because you got a
Mm.
lot of people on the internet now. Everybody doing this. No, you not. No, you not.
We talk about this all the time. Everybody is an expert. Everybody is a coach. Everybody is and I'm just like, but you haven't done the work, and with social media, not social media, I'm sorry, with AI, one of the things that it's done is been able to level the playing field from a technical standpoint, because it's not much to regurgitate what chat has told me you need to know by way of how to scale to $1 million business or how to run an HR. You can say and do other things, and people are drinking this up. They're soaking it up. But I'm like, no, you really need to have some substance behind all of that. And we need to be a little more discerning as
Mm-hmm.
consumers around what it is that we're really trying to take in, because everything that is given to you ain't good for you, even if it's in
Mm-hmm.
the moment. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so let's I mean, again, so much to unpack. Somebody was like, "Ooh, that just gave me goosebumps." Faith.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we talk enough about the importance of having faith, being centered in our decision making, being centered in the way that we set boundaries and the way that we live. I unequivocally believe in that. And also, again, just going back to that element of knowing who you are. I don't think, and like you, I don't want to offend anyone when I say this, but it's like I don't think we're spending enough time understanding who we are. It's like once we know who we are and we are able to be comfortable with who, not just know who you are, but be comfortable with who you are. And if you're not comfortable with who you are today, that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are so many things you can do to get to like who we are. Like I told you, who I am today is not who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And
Absolutely not.
sometimes I look at who I am and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know I was going to become her. you know,
Yep. Yep.
life will get you there. Exposure will get you there. Desire will get you there. Decisions and grit will get you there. And so, I think if anything is like just imparting upon people to take that time to get that clarity, take that time to understand what exactly it is going to the top of this, like the story that you
Mm-hmm.
want to write and share for your life. And listen, get you some faith, get grounded, get alive. You cannot. I love what you said, because sometimes I just think about what's happening in the world, and it's like, oh my God, this is too much. Why is it even worth it? I can't even think about this stuff. I got to let it go, right? I can't
Mm-hmm.
take that on because it's too big for us to take
Mm-hmm.
on top of all the things that we still have to navigate just for the day to day, just to
Yes.
survive. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think self-awareness is probably one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. And I
yeah,
think, when we kind of think about practical things, it's like really, and what does self-awareness mean? Self-awareness means you might need to go to therapy. Not might. Everyone needs to go to therapy. I got to a certain point where I realized, okay, Alycia, you've hit your ceiling. Like you've hit the max of what you could do on your own problem solving. Because there are some things that you really don't know how to navigate because you don't have the right tools. You don't know what to do or how to do it or how to approach it. And so I started going to therapy, which was also that premarital therapy, premarital therapy helped me out before we got married. It helped me to tackle a lot of those fears and to make sure I was going into marriage as the person I wanted to be. Even though I was going to evolve as a woman, at least I could start off on a good foot, right? And then I went and got therapy for myself because there's so many different things that we experience through life. And we think this is just how I am. This is just how I've always done it. No, it's not. There are fingerprints of trauma, of something somebody said to you and you didn't realize it. You took it in and you absorbed it as who you were or who you are. And so the self awareness has to come with sitting in a space and someone asking you the right questions and you not being afraid to dig a little bit deeper to get to the heart of who you are. Like who were you before the world tried to tell you who you were? Who were you before that person broke your heart? Who were you before you lost that person in your life, right? Like who were you before you experienced all these things, and then you can get to the heart of, okay, that's what it is, right? But it's hard to show up in relationships, it's hard to show up in business, it's hard to show up in any space really truly and authentically and whole unless you start to become more self-aware. And I think that also gives me the audacity to think I could do anything because I started to go through and find that girl, that little girl who was
you
like,
have a
I'm
lot
jumping
of.
off
I
this
think you
tree.
have a lot of audacity, Alycia, to believe that you
Baby.
can do anything. I literally think you are, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I and I just think you feel and truly believe that you can do anything, and you live like that. Like it's so evident.
But the thing is, we all can because we come from a creator who has done all things. So what
Mm,
can I do? If my creator has done all things, he's created all things. He's created things that we don't even know about. They still up
that's
there
right.
trying to figure out what's going on in the sky, in the galaxies. You'll never know. If my creator has done all things, created all things, what can't I do? I don't
Mm,
understand what we're even talking about right now. Is it
that's
going to be
right.
hard? Absolutely. Everything I've built, there has been times, I mean, I'm talking about hard tears when it's not coming out and you, everything. I've cried plenty of times. I've wanted to
Yeah.
quit plenty of times. I sat in my room at the end of 1 year and I told my husband, like, hey, that was a bad idea. I think I want to quit. You know what I mean? Like, I said, I think that was a bad idea. You know what I mean? And like I said, I remember even when I signed this commercial space, I'd never signed a commercial lease before. And you got to commit to that thing for 5 years. I had no clue what I was doing. I had just had my third kid. I don't know how old the baby was. I had babies everywhere. And so, you know what I mean?
Baby,
Like,
both
I,
babies.
you know what I'm saying? I got a kid in the stroller. I got a knee brace on, a back brace on, and I'm painting walls. And I'm sharing with people what I'm doing. Friends popping up, they doing that. And I remember the day before we opened, I had to get our like LED wall sign, and it was like $750. And I had, baby, them cards was max. You understand? And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I said, God, what am I doing? I remember crying out so hard in my car, like I couldn't even see. I was like, I'm so afraid. What am I doing? Why? What kind of audacity is this to think that you can do this and you got 3 kids? Like, but those are the
Yes.
type of conversations I got to talk myself through. You're gonna have to remind yourself, like, you're not crazy. You're gonna feel crazy. So I'm not saying I've never had moments where I wanted to quit. I was afraid,
Yeah.
or I didn't know if it was gonna work, or something didn't work out the way I wanted to. But also, I was also able to bounce back. Okay, so what? When I signed that lease, I said, you know, my landlord, he probably ain't never gonna listen to this. But I was like, listen, if it don't work out, baby, just file for bankruptcy and move on. Like, you gotta kind of walk yourself through it. It's like you got to go through the pros and cons. Like, okay, if I do it, cool. If I don't do it, cool. If it don't work out, what's my exit strategy? But it
Yes.
doesn't mean I'm a failure. I'm never
Yeah.
a failure, right? It just means I need to try again. I need to do something a little different. So it's really, you really have to kind of reframe how you look at risk. You got to reframe how you look at fear. You have to reframe different opportunities. Let me test this and see. If it works, great. If it doesn't, okay, Alycia, what did you learn from it? What can you take from it? Well, who was in the room that you should have met, right? There's a lot of reframing to go around. It's like you have a lot of kids. I do. Also, I get the privilege to be a mom. I get the privilege to love people and guide them through life. I get the privilege when I'm old, somebody gonna have my life alert and they gonna show up and they gonna take care of me. Right?
Mhm.
Like, you know, it's like it's reframing how you look at things because it shapes your perspective. It shapes your perspective, right?
Mhm.
And that perspective is really whether you do a thing or you don't do a thing.
Yeah. Someone said in here, hey Tracy, she said nothing beats a failure but a try.
That's
And
it.
I, the other day I had shared a quote where I said the only failure is having an opportunity to do something and choosing not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for so many of us, and I've kind of touched on this and talked about this throughout the year, is we have not necessarily always had the resources or the safety net that if we fail, a fail for us could be an impact for generations. Right? A fail
Catastrophic.
for us could be maybe there is no bounce back, comeback. It
Yep.
is, it can be, but right, but we're thinking it's not it's going to be so much harder. And so being able to get ourselves in a situation where we actually embrace failure, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
failure, but
Mm-hmm.
understanding that there is going to be bumps along the way. When people see me where I am today, I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about the 2 or 3 times I actually got fired. Let's talk about the 2 or 3 clients I had that I lost. Let's talk about the
Mm-hmm.
contract that you all
Mm-hmm.
for in advance and they string you along and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna go a different way. Let's talk about the
Mm-hmm.
relationship you put the years into. I mean, so we all go through the same things. To your point, coming back to it, it's like I think it's what do you have in place that
Mm-hmm.
allows you to recover, and not just
Yeah.
from an external standpoint, but from an internal standpoint, right? And I think I took for granted a lot
Mm-hmm.
that people just had grit or resilience or decision,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And I think for me, because of how I grew up and just the person I am, and like I was the baby. I wasn't in the middle, but I was the baby, so I got to see what siblings did, and I was like, okay, mommy, I'm not gonna be like that, or I got to see
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to quite go down that road. I just have always been responsible, always been
Yep.
resilient. I've always
Yep. Yep.
even as my mom's probably like, girl, you got in more trouble than I want to count. Still
Mm-hmm.
focused, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Still determined. And so I'm just like, isn't everybody like that? And so how to get people to really understand we're no different.
Mm-hmm.
We really aren't. I mean, like we are all the same in our core, but it's how to start reframing, as you say, your perspective on all of these different things that you're trying to tackle in life. Like you just got to have the reframe. You just
Yeah.
have to have the grit, because if you don't, it's just going to be more of the same.
Yeah, and I think too, like, I think depending on where people are in life, even if you just make you a list, it's just three things. Just write down three hard things that you should try this week. What's three hard things I can do? Because the resilience comes from seeing how many times you can get back up. But if you're too afraid that you might fall,
Yeah.
if you're too afraid that you might fall, you'll never know what it looks like for you to actually stand back up on your feet.
Okay,
So
now
you
that
have to
feels.
so you have to be willing to do the hard thing, and you're like, oh, okay. I'm like, you
I
you
survived
feel,
it.
yeah,
I
you
made
made it. You made it. But you can only really develop that resilience by doing a hard thing and seeing what happens, right? And if it hurts, it hurts. Another part of it is too
it.
that sometimes things might break your heart.
That's
And I
right.
said this a couple of weeks ago. I was doing another conversation, and I was talking about our first child. When we got married, we were so excited. We had the gender reveal and everything, and probably about 5 or 6 months into the pregnancy, I miscarried. It was horrible. It was depressed. I mean, it was so sad. And I'm such a like I moved through everything, and I didn't know how to move through grief because
Mm,
it doesn't have. You can't, it's not a deadline. It's not a checklist. I mean, you can't put it in the project sheet, right? You have to actually feel that. And I remember reading this book called Heart Made Whole, and it talked about letting yourself just break into a million pieces and putting yourself back together again, allowing God to put you back together again. So the reality is sometimes, yes, like life has broken you. Like there's some things that have happened, and you like, but why that happened to me? But if I put all of my energy and attention to why did that happen to me, instead of look at me now, baby.
mm.
Okay. Nah, I ain't got enough cars. I ain't got enough room in the back of the car. You know what I'm saying? To put all these car seats, right? But it's look at me now. If we keep focusing in on all of the negative things, we miss the beauty in the right now, right? And so the
Mm.
resilience and the grit comes from I'm gonna do the hard thing. I'm a sign that if I said I want to do this, let me try. What's the first three steps I can do?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm kind of afraid to go talk to them people at that bank because I don't know if they're gonna say yes. What if they say yes?
that's right.
And then what if they say no? Ask them some follow-up questions. Well, what do I need to do to be prepared next time?
Yeah,
Can I meet you back here in 3 months? Right? Like, no, I don't even factor no. I think that's one of the things that bothers my husband. He be like, I don't know. I was like, hey, bro, not too much on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause if I hear somebody say no, I'm like, oh, that means that not you. Just I don't need to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the reality is no one can stop you from doing what you want to do. The only person who can really determine what you do or not is you. Because also, if there's a job you want and it doesn't, create it. You know what I'm saying? If there's somebody you need to talk to because there's a role you want to be, go find them.
yeah,
Go ask them for coffee. Figure out the right way to approach people, right? Because you may mention the AI, and the one thing about AI as well, and I'm connecting the dots here in terms of like meeting people and talking to them and finding new opportunities, is also the thing that AI can't replicate is discernment. It can't replicate creativity and
yeah,
curiosity. It can't replicate communication. I've met a lot of people that will use it, and you get them in front of in front of you, and you like, now say that one more time for me. Nah. You
exactly.
know, So we have some innate human characteristics that cannot be duplicated. So people don't mind meeting you in person. If there's something you want, go and find it. Or if you're not willing to do that, just say, you know what? I I don't want to do that. I
I
don't
don't
have
want to
enough
do.
courage to I don't have
That's
enough
right.
courage to do that right now.
That's right, and that's fair. And so, oh my God, I can talk to you all day, and clearly, I haven't even gotten to the real questions we had here. But I'm telling you, you've been special since the first day I met you. Okay, we didn't even get into that story how we met, but look at
So we said a whole lot without saying anything. Understood.
NDA, but it, there's always so much, I think, emphasis on pushing people to become more, and I'm not saying settle. And when I say become
Mm-hmm.
more,
Mm-hmm.
like as if whatever you are isn't enough. And it can be. Like I'm also at a point where I'm just like, who am I to be telling you what it means to level up? Like leveling up, what is that, a career a title? Is that more money? I don't, but you are broken on the inside, or you still got all these other things that you haven't addressed, but now you've got the title, allegedly, you've got the income, allegedly, but you're still going home empty, all the things, right? And so I love that you kind of touched on that too. It's like if you're in a place where maybe you don't have the courage, maybe you don't really have the desire. This is why I'm going back to like living your most authentic life, because sometimes we feel like we should be doing something, doing more, achieving more, always pushing the boundary, when maybe it's okay to just be where you are,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In that moment. And maybe that's for a season, or maybe it's until the day you transition to meet your maker. But I do feel part of social media, part of this culture that we have now, is just constantly making people feel as though they are not sufficient, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they
Mm-hmm.
have to keep doing. And another quote I was kind of reflecting on, I think I shared that maybe about a week or so ago, and I'm paraphrasing, but it said, maybe you feel like you're never achieving your bar because you keep raising it, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, now I hit what I said I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do I really have to hit more? I don't know, because I'm tired. I'm
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
tired. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired. So how do
Mm-hmm.
you prevent yourself from burning out with showing up in all these different verticals and clearly being a driven, accomplished woman? Like, what does burnout prevention look like for you? What
That's a,
is your
that's a good
advice
question.
for us?
And it changes because there are some days I'm like, y'all, like literally, I don't have anything. This little hair to the side. You know what I'm saying? Like I just I don't have it. You know what I mean?
Don't have
And
it.
so
Don't
so
have
it's
it.
it's it's tough. It's tough, but I think that again it goes back to, especially when we talk about like raising the bar and leveling up. What does that mean? It goes back to sitting down, and we have to be able to one take enough time to sit down, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, but write down what does success look like for me. I heard this quote one time, and I took it and I ran with it. They said we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So then,
Mm,
so I stopped planning because every 365 days we like new year, new me, baby. We 90 days in, and we cooked. So
right.
I started planning my life out in decades.
Oh
So
my
I took
goodness.
10 years and I said, okay, Alycia, by the time you get to 40, by the time you get to 50, what should that look like for you? And then every year I adjusted based off of what my desire was, based off what the opportunities that came, or, I thought I wanted that, but I don't. So I look at it in 10-year spurts. I already know what I want certain things to look like and what I want it to be. I got me a bucket list of places I want to go with my family and things I want to do. And so I plan
Right.
that out in 10 years, because then at that way I realize I'm not running every single, I have a long term goal, and it may
Yeah.
change and it may adjust. Now, do I need
Mm,
to sleep more? Absolutely. Okay. Do I need to eat more? Without a doubt. Okay. You know what I mean? But also, I was telling myself, because I was like heavy into Pilates, and I was like, Alycia, you got this membership. It is at an amazing place. But at the end of the day, this might not be the season where every day you're going to the gym. So it just might not be. So what can you do? I can eat better. I can drink more water. I can go ahead and take these vitamins, right? It is about adjusting for the season. And it goes back to what we talked about with balance. It's your perspective. what does that look like for me right now? What it look like right now is I might actually call my husband at 4 o'clock, be like, hey, you want to just walk around the track one time with me, walk around the park? We got 30 minutes, we go pick the kids up, right?
Yeah.
That may be my activity for the day, but it's about really, again, defining what that looks like for you in this season, in this phase, with what you have. Stay off the internet. These people be lying, right? Like what do you want your life to look like? You know? And so I was driving home this weekend, and I was like, man, like I had to stop and say to myself, I'm proud of you, because you're doing what you want to do. Like you was away from home for a whole weekend. Matter of fact, my kids' first day of school was on Monday. I wasn't there
Mm-hmm.
because I had a wedding to go to. It was gonna be too much to drive, and so I trusted that my mother-in-law, their grandmother, loves them just enough to send them to school, just like I would. She sent me pictures. All the Amazon boxes went to her house over the weekend, and they were ready for school. I didn't feel no shame.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I
About to ask you about the role that family plays in supporting you. I mean, you've kind of talked about that, right? Having a village, and the other, for me is, what does it look like in terms of, and I don't want to say chasing, but pursuing, advancing ambition and your personal goals, and doing the things that make you feel like a whole person. Do you ever feel any type of guilt? And if you don't feel guilt, why is that? Because you have what communicated, articulate, how do you prevent yourself from feeling guilty?
Because it's our goal. It's not just Alicia's goal. This is when I have a goal, it's my husband's goal too. I share
Okay.
my ideas and my vision with my mother-in-law. She asks
Mm,
me questions. She's like, okay, well, how did it go? What did they say about the contract?
I
Okay, did
love that.
y'all like the house? Like, she's my kids, they come down to Polaris and they know exactly what's going on. They ask me, Mommy, were you at the building today? Were you teaching somebody today? How did it go? Was he up there making coffee? Can I come back and get some snacks? They know exactly where I'm at and what I'm doing. There's an award ceremony that I'm getting in September. I'm taking my kids out of school so they can come to this award ceremony because they need to see me get this award. Because they need to understand when I come home and it might be a little later, or if I'm not there, they're like, oh no, I know exactly where my mama is. I know exactly what she's doing. We had an accelerator that we run. We had a graduation a couple Mondays ago. Now they was back there making noise and they had to leave early, but they were there. They were there, right? And they was like, "Mommy, oh my God, you look so great. That lady was crying over there. Was she crying because of you?" So it's not just my goal. The reason why people start to get disjointed from their families, like people are like, "Oh, I'm rising, but I lost my family." It's because you didn't take them with you. I'm not going nowhere by myself. You understand what I'm saying to you? My husband going, my kids going. He comes down to this building. He makes sure the HVAC go out. We're building this together. It's not just Alicia's goals. As he
Love that.
continues to evolve the thing he wants to do, it's my goal too. So as a family, what are we doing to make sure Daddy accomplishes goals? Like this,
Yeah,
this ain't no us and them. This is together, right?
together.
Yeah.
I love that you also say you share it like with your mother-in-law, you share with your mother. Some of us don't necessarily have relationships or people in our lives that we feel that we can share our
Yep.
goals and our visions and our dreams with without them crapping on it, right? Or without them like, why you want to do that? you know, oh,
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm.
or just even being supportive. And so I think that that is certainly a takeaway is if it's finding who else you can include on this journey of yours. But first and
Mm-hmm.
foremost, you have to define what that journey is going to entail and be comfortable sharing it. And it's not for you to share with everybody to that point. It's to those who are going to be respectful, supportive, who are going to honor you, hold you accountable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And help
Mm-hmm.
you show up. I think on
Mm-hmm.
those days where you are sitting in the corner crying, like, what am I doing? And I'm gonna tell you, I've had many of those. I
Baby,
don't have
silly rock.
any more, but I will say along the way, there
Mm-hmm.
have certainly been days where I'm in the corner, like, what did I do and how did I get here?
Yep.
The last piece, oh my God, this one coming to an end. Although we could, it's not like we can do
We
whatever
could
we
do a
want.
part two.
It's the fear part that really struck me because I don't think we have enough conversations around fear. Again, people will see certain folks in a role or at a certain level in life or with certain things and think that they didn't have any hesitation. They didn't have any fears. They didn't have anything to figure out. And I've talked
Mhm.
about I've been a commitment phobe for years. Yeah, right. My biggest fear, if anybody knows, is like I don't want to be poor. Like
Yeah.
to the point that
Oh
it's
no.
not healthy. My relationship with money, or my relationship with love, or even fear with being judged, and that it was great because it drove me to want to be successful. But that's not
Mhm.
healthy.
Mhm.
So, what are some, suggestions or tips for those who may still be grappling with fear or not even having the courage to move forward on the things that they're like, I really want that.
Yeah, I think the reality is you're gonna feel the fear, but you're gonna have to do it anyway. And I think it goes back to what we talked about with being willing to jump and see what happens when you jump, because that's how you build that muscle up. Most of the time when I'm doing stuff, I have a lot of like, ooh, but I also, for me in my faith, I'm gonna speak the word over my mind. I'm gonna remind myself of who I am. Just because I have a feeling, that doesn't make me that feeling, right? Just because I have a feeling doesn't actually
Mm,
mean it's even true, right? It's just something that goes on here. And if I don't combat it, if I don't talk to it, it's gonna talk to me. So I'm gonna talk back to you, right? So if I have this fear, like, oh, you can't, it's like actually, I know who I am. I'm aware I can do all things. Right? So it's like you're gonna have to fight for it. Like ain't nothing in this life just passive, bro. Like you're gonna have to put hands on it. Like you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to, like, it's
yeah,
not gonna be like I want to do a thing and it's gonna be easy and everybody say yes and it's so great. That's just not life. It
yeah,
hasn't been that way since the dawn of time. As a people, we know that it hasn't even, it's just that's just not how life is. You're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to sweat a little bit. You're gonna have to put in a little work. You're gonna have to talk back to those thoughts that try to talk back to you, right? You're gonna have to put yourself in rooms that you don't really feel comfortable in. You're gonna have to say the things that need to be said, and you're not quite sure how people are gonna take it, right? You're gonna have to be willing to go to that bank and see what them folks say, right? Like the reality is it's not going to be easy. And if you're looking for something easy, you're already at a disadvantage. I was listening to something the other day and it said, listen, the best way to manage the expectation of something is just to know what's going to happen, right? So
yeah.
I already need to just say, okay, Alycia, these are probably the list of things that are going to, like, it's going to be tough. And then what?
And then what? Oh my goodness. Okay. So, all right. We're bringing you back. You gotta come back. You gotta,
Okay, you just tell me when I'm coming.
people gotta work. I'm like, okay, so this so many things still want to get into, but I'm gonna bring it to a close.
Okay.
Um, so for our tipsters who have joined us for today, first and foremost, are there any, immediate kind of tips or recommendations that you want to provide as it relates to something they can start applying this week, like really apply this week or
Mhm.
consider this? There are a few you already shared, to start, leaning in and living, I'm using the air quotes, this
Mhm.
life feel as
Mhm.
though they're ready to achieve.
Yeah, a few things. I'll try to make it quick. It makes me think about when we talked earlier about courage. If you don't have the courage, borrow it from someone else. And what I mean is, I want you to find somebody that you see and you like, you know what, I really like what they do. And I want you to study what they do. That's what happened with Maya Angelou. I say she's my grandmother because she really is in my head. But when I learned about who this woman was, I studied her. And you know what? She did everything. She was a poet. She was a professor in Egypt. She was a dancer. She was a singer. She didn't put any caps on her life. So if you don't have that courage, borrow from someone else. Find someone whose story resonates with you. Start to study it and see what they did. Study the decisions. Listen to the things if they got interviews, if you can find on YouTube, read their books and start to borrow that from someone else. You can get your own blueprint. And then also get you a mentor. Like if you don't have the relationships in your life that exist, my therapist told me just because you don't have those relationships don't mean you don't still deserve those, right? Because I
Mm,
have some tumultuous relationships with my family, right? However, I still deserve a motherly role model. I still deserve a fatherly role model, right? I'm not at a deficit. I don't have to be. Find you a mentor. Find someone who cares about you. who will speak into your life, who will make it not so hard because they can walk you through all the things that they've done. But what you're continuing to hear is people. We can't do this by ourselves. Nothing that we can do well, we can do alone. We weren't created to live life alone, be alone. Even in the Bible, the Lord was like, well, you ain't boy yet. Let me get you somebody. Let me pull this rib up
That's
out you.
right.
Right? Like we are meant to be doing life with people. You got to find the right people, but get you a mentor, borrow that courage from someone else. Find someone that you admire, that you think is kind of they're close to what you want to do, and start to study what they did, read what they wrote, right? Listen to what they're talking about.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm like, you about to be my mentor. Everybody gonna be reaching out. Can you be my mentor? I
Girl, we got
love
to get
it.
it.
Oh
We
my
got to
God.
get it.
My heart is full. So not only were you our first Mega Mom and our first Southern Belle, you're the first Tipsy Tuesday to go over an hour in a good way. In a good
Well,
way.
thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
you. I'm so just, I don't know. I'm always inspired, impressed, all the things by you. I'm so glad that you were able to join and share. Where do people find you? How do they find out more? If they want to work with you, if they just want to follow you, they want to know what you're doing.
Yes, yes, yes. So, right before I give that, because I know we'll close, I just also want to shout you out, Aries, for you are a phenomenal woman. Okay. Ever since I had the opportunity to meet you, I'm like, yeah, I like that lady. And you have always stood on business and been about what you say, and who you are. So I just want to appreciate you for that, as well. And so I wouldn't have given my time to anybody else but you in the middle of the day. Okay. And so, and
I
so,
know, it's like I feel honored for real. Like, how did you make that
but
decision?
so people can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. It's just Alycia Levels Moore, Alycia Levels Levels hyphen Moore Moore. Also our website Polaris Birmingham is where they can find out more about our innovation space. That's Polaris Birmingham, Polaris Birmingham. And then Vanguard Development Collective is our economic development organization where they can learn more, as well about some of the work we're doing across the region here.
You made me just want to come back to Birmingham all over again.
Come on, girl,
So
come get something to eat. We be eating out here, okay? We be eating now. The food gonna be good now.
the food is good. The food is good. The people are good, and
Yes.
the tips are good. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I'll see you on the next Tipsy Tuesday. There we go.
Okay.